And thanks for staying with us here. The House of Representatives has mandated its committees on nutrition and food security and agricultural production and services, agricultural colleges and institutions in finance to conduct a comprehensive investigation into the alleged misuse of government interventions and agricultural funding by departments, agencies, schemes and programs of the federal government.
This comes after reports and allegations of abuse, mismanagement, and misapplication of government intervention funds earmarked for agricultural development and food security initiatives in Nigeria. The committee is expected to report back to the House within 4 legislative weeks for further legislative actions. Joining us now is Public Affairs Analyst Adeyemi Saka. Good morning and thank you for joining us.
Good morning. It's nice to be here.
All right. Before we go into the interventions that we should explore, they've been given 4 weeks to report, 4 legislative weeks to report back to the House. Is this something that, are you excited about this? Do you think that this will yield the necessary intervention that we're looking forward to?
Well, no. And if you go back in history, just let us, tilt back and get into history. I think the only probe that gave us anything to rejoice about was the Farouk Lawa led probe on subsidy payments. And that was the only thing that gave us a conviction that went as far as the courts and the courts, giving judicial pronouncements. Every probe since 2007 has been a vindictive one I don't know for whatsoever reason. I came up with an opinion of mine on these various probes, and I think I'll find 2 people that are the worst culprits in this kind of antics or modus operandi is the EFCC and the House of Representatives. The way they come up with this probe, it's just as if they just go out there to scandalize these people and give them no room or whatsoever. In fact, they take away the presumption of innocence from these guys. And, it's a sad one that just last week, a controller of customs died while being grilled, going through one of such probes. And you ask yourself, is this the essence of this probe? Is it to get justice or is it just to malign and castigate and probably crucify these people in public courts? And that's what these guys have been doing. I have not seen anything from the power probe to the FCC, Federal Character Commission probe, to the subsidy probe, to power, everything. Tell me what has come out of it. Has there been any refund of such, or as the FAC, has anybody claimed to have received any refund to the Federation account? None. It's just a media circles, I don't know, to entertain Nigerians, to make and probably to go after perceived political opponents, or to scandalize or probably convict these people in public opinion, courts of public opinion. So I'm not excited about it. Nothing will happen. Just like you look at, it's just a normal thing we've been used to in Nigeria. You just see the breaking news and there's no follow-up news.
So how can we then ensure that when situations and conversations like this come up, first of all, that they don't even come up in the first place because the right thing is being done. But now that there has been a wrong done, how can we then ensure this remedy? Before you answer this question, let's look at some of the few interventions that we should note. Now, there's a program for maize, rye, and wheat farming. The amount disbursed was 1.12 trillion naira, and the recipients, 4.67 million farmers through 563 anchors. There's also the Nigeria Incentive-Based Risk Sharing System for Agricultural Lending, NIRSAL, and the amount disbursed was 215.067 billion naira. There was also the Bank of Industry Agricultural Value Chain Financing Program. Amount disbursed 3 billion naira to 22,120 smallholder farmers. Additional funding was given to the tune of 59.4 billion naira for 49 agro and food processing businesses. And there was also the Federal Government of Nigeria loan facility to Bank of Agriculture for livestock farmers. Amount disbursed was 5 billion naira. There was also the National Agricultural Development Fund, Ginger Blight Epidemics Central Task Force Recovery Fund. Amount disbursed was 1.6 billion naira for the control of blight disease in ginger. So how did we get to this point? Like, what can we do to ensure that these are not the kind of conversations that we're having? And even now that we're having these sort of conversations, how do we ensure that we do not see a repeat of these headlines hitting the news or making the news?
Sadly, without trying to sound like a prophet of doom, we will probably still, in 4, 5 years, 8 years from now, after this administration, we'll be visiting things like this. We'll be greeted with headlines like this, and God save us, preserve us till then and beyond. And I'll tell you why. It's like putting the cart before the horse. The federal government under Muhammadu Buhari went on that bazaar sharing, venture. And the key components of food security is missing. You give me loan to get to the farm. Probably you could call those farmers now without giving them an excuse for why they've not repaid their loans. They'll tell you that probably they used it in paying ransom after being kidnapped, or probably their workers were kidnapped on the farm. When there's national insecurity, how do you want people to go to farm? How do you want them to keep the value and the value chain and the process chain going? I think it's not possible. I don't know what it's a sad one that and another thing for government, and this is a lesson to the present administration because they're actually falling into such ditch. You can't end poverty by doling out cash. You can't. Your intervention in agriculture is not just about coming up distributing monies to Nigerians. It's about coming up with the right policies that they can probably latch on. Commercial banks should do this. Because commercial banks will monitor these things and follow it up at an agreed interest rate between the federal government and the banks, and between the banks and the farmers. Simple.
But
and it was go through, and I think that was how it was disbursed, because I think it was disbursed through commercial banks. But you still find out that the federal government, the monitoring of these policies and programs was vague and was not thought out. I think it was an afterthought. And I'm happy that this is happening. A part of me is happy because when some of us kept saying the government of former President Muhammadu Buhari was just life-driven, everybody felt we didn't know what we were saying. They made it look as if almost all the state that had no business were knocking planks together and coming up with fake rice pyramids just to glorify the administration. We're all saying the fraud. We'll keep and to tackle these. I don't think this is for the House of Reps to do. I think it's so oftentimes we just come up with needless bureaucracy. These are criminal cases that the police want to investigate, take it to court, and get a conviction. Why go through the house probe? You make noise, you scandalize people. Some people and they pile up so much pressure on these people when they are appearing before them, and they probably. I don't know, we could have a repeat of what happened to the customs guy. Well, we should stop this jamboree, these razzmatazz, and get settled to doing the good, serious business of governance.
Well, Adeyemi Saka, I think we've explored this conversation rather, and we've looked at these angles. We've seen how it's touched on food security. Food insecurity, rather, which happens to be a major problem Nigerians are facing. We've seen an increase in the costs of purchase, where a tuber of yam, now we know what it goes for, the bag of rice, and so on and so forth. And then it seems like corruption has indeed plunged the Nigerian agricultural system, bringing it to a halt. Do you think that the corrupt practices have not been attended to, rather than putting these intervention funds and not dealing with the corruption that comes with it, seems to be the major problem?
Well, I don't think the problem with the agricultural sector is corruption. The problem is insecurity. The corruption might be within the government, this government cycle, how they disburse funds and what have you, and the fictitious or fraudulent policies they come up with. It's between you and I, and these are an audacious thing for me. 40 to 60% of the beans in Nigeria comes from Burkina Faso. Tomato, the people will tell you, the people on the street will tell you, they want to be truthful with themselves. You tell that the spike in the cost of tomatoes is because we couldn't get tomatoes in from Chad and from Benin Republic. And that's the truth. So the bottom line is the rising cost of food and consumables is because people can go to farms. You cannot move The whole of Kotangora in Niger State, you're probably going on a suicide mission to get any police from Kotangora out of Kotangora to anywhere in Niger State. Same thing, you can't go to Futra, Faskari, even to Zamfara. Zamfara, the slogan of Zamfara is farming is our pride. They can't go to farm. The whole of Bauchi, Kano, Zamfara, Benue can give us the rice we need in this country and even look at the West African market, but we can't. Adamawa too is good in rice production. So you look at all these things and you ask yourself, how do you want to achieve this? Even down south, people are being kidnapped. From Ijebu, they going through the Ijebu Ibadan road, Ijebu to Ibadan. You have a lot of farms scattered along the axis, but people are being kidnapped daily. But the governor in his wisdom felt dashing or probably, if I can borrow that word, gifting or probably, going on a land bazaar location for House of Assembly members will solve the insecurity or the food insecurity in the state. And you see the gathering of southern governors, and they just come with wearing adire for actually taking photographs. I think that is all. We are not serious as a nation. I'm not trying to sound like a prophet of doom. We probably will be paying you more for food and consumables next year, because what did they do this in terms of agriculture, in terms of farming? Virtually nothing.
Okay. Thank you so much, Adeyemi Saka. I mean,
peasant farming in their compound. That's why you probably could have maize or few pepper to eat next year. Without that, they are expecting to go to the market. Well, if you can stop to next, I advise you to do that.
well, the food prices, no doubt, many have said, experts have also warned that we may not see it come down anytime soon. But thank you so much for your time, Adeyemi Saka. We truly appreciate the time you've spent with us.
It's nice having. I always love being with you guys.
Thank you for your time with us.